risiko apa dan gimana mencegah kanker payudara, juga bagaimana cara yang betul untuk memeriksa payudara sendiri dan screening pakainya apa.
So how common is breast cancer? It's the most common cancer affecting all women, not just in Singapore but worldwide. About 1 in 12 women in Singapore will get breast cancer in their lifetime. This incidence is actually rising year to year.
Kanker payudara adalah kanker yang paling tinggi prevalensinya di seluruh dunia. 2.000 orang tiap hari, tiap tahun didiagnosa kanker payudara dan 400 meninggal dari kanker itu. Di Singapura, tiap 12 orang wanita satu ada kanker payudara.
This is a worldwide phenomenon. This is the World Health Organization International Statistics, and you can see pink colors for breast cancer. It's actually 1/4 of all cancers in the world, affecting all females, and this was the latest set of data from 2020.
Ini data dari WHO yang menunjukkan bahwa kanker payudara di seluruh dunia itu menempati 25%, sekitar 25% dari dibandingkan dengan semua kanker.
So we know that this is an important problem. How do we prevent it, and what are the risk factors, and how do you protect yourself? Number one, unfortunately, if you are female, you are at higher risk of breast cancer. Breast cancer affects 99% of all patients with breast cancer are female, only 1% is male. So even if you're male, you may still get breast cancer, although that's a lot more rare. Okay. The next thing is, as you get older, you are at higher risk of breast cancer. The peak age of breast cancer is about 60 to 70 years of age. There are some reproductive factors that affects your hormone exposure. So if you've never had children, or if you had your first child after 35, you're at higher risk. If you had very early menses before you were 11 years old, or if you only stopped having menses after you were 55, you are also at higher risk. If you take the oral contraceptive pill, you've had fertility treatment, or some people when they stop having menses, they get very bad hot flushes and they take hormone replacement, it also puts you at slightly higher risk. And lastly, if you have a strong family history of breast cancer, but that only accounts for about 5 to 15% of breast cancer patients.
Oke, resiko-resiko yang ada sebagai wanita sendiri sudah ada resiko kanker payudara. Semakin tua juga resikonya semakin tinggi. Dan untuk orang-orang yang mempunyai anak pertama setelah umur 35 tahun, yang mensesnya awal sekali sebelum umur 11 tahun sudah terima menstruasi, ataupun yang menopause terlambat sekali lewat 55 tahun, itu juga resiko kanker payudara lebih tinggi. Dan siapapun yang pakai obat KB, pil atau injeksi KB, atau yang sudah menopause tapi dokter kasih hormone replacement therapy karena misalnya kulit kering atau apa, terus ada dokter yang kasih hormone replacement therapy, itu akan meningkatkan resiko kanker payudara, termasuk IVF. IVF itu inseminasi buatan, yang kalau nggak punya anak terus mau punya anak mesti diinjeksi hormon supaya meninggikan level hormonnya. Dan juga dari keluarga, kalau ada keturunan famili dari keluarga-keluarga terdekat yang punya kanker payudara, itu hanya 5%, tapi resikonya lebih tinggi.
So back to family history. So everybody is very worried about having a relative with breast cancer. To be honest, even if you have a relative with breast cancer, it might only increase your risk of breast cancer slightly. The ones that we are most worried about is if you've had a first-degree relative who was diagnosed with breast cancer when they were younger than 40 in particular, or if they have one of the more aggressive types of breast cancer. So we will usually ask you. The most common or the most famous type of breast cancer that can be inherited is something called BRCA. But again, looking at this, only a small proportion of them actually have a hereditary relation. Much of it is actually just luck. Apart from luck, how do you prevent breast cancer? How do you protect yourself? Number one, we do recommend exercising. Okay, moderate intensity, aiming for a heart rate of about 115 beats per minute for about 150 minutes. You can do extra, but try to strive for at least 150 beats per minute. Try to take less alcohol, which I think is not a problem in this room. And try to avoid the oral contraceptive pill and the hormone replacement therapy, especially if you belong to one of the high-risk groups and you have a first-degree relative with a strong family history of breast cancer.
So, gimana cara pencegahannya? Exercise, hidup sehat. Ya, dengan exercise-nya ini dari Health Promotion Board juga menganjurkan kita untuk exercise 150 menit per minggu. Jadi 30 menit 5 hari dalam waktu 1 minggu itu minimum. Terus heart rate-nya, moderate exercise itu heart rate-nya bisa menaikkan dari yang tadinya 80-90 jadi 120. Kira-kira itu moderate exercise. Minum alkohol, ibu-ibu udah nggak minum sama sekali ya. Ya. Terus yang paling utama kalau bisa nggak minum pil KB, injeksi, yang semua yang kontraseptif pil itu KB, dan hormone replacement therapy yang kalau diberikan setelah menopause. Kalau keluarga ada riwayat kanker payudara, itu juga mesti lebih hati-hati.
So the next most important point is about early detection and how if you can identify the problem early, you have a much better outcome. So this is a slide. We chose not to use pictures because it's a lot less scary if you use images. So if it's very early breast cancer or stage 0 breast cancer and we can detect it early, your survival rate is about 100%. As you wait and as it grows bigger, approximately less than 2 cm in size, you can see the survival rate starts to drop. And with time, it keeps growing bigger and bigger. If it spreads to your armpit, your survival rate is only about 50%. And definitely once it reaches stage 4, where it spreads beyond the breast, commonly into your lung, your liver, your bone, or sometimes even your brain, your survival rate drops to just about 16%.
Oke, ini yang paling harus diingat-ingat bahwa kanker payudara itu masing-masing stadium angka kematiannya juga berbeda. Semakin dini kita menemukan kanker, angka kematiannya semakin rendah. Jadi 100% udah pasti meninggal karena boleh dibilang kita bilang clear sama sekali, bisa disembuhkan dan meninggal karena masalah lain. Tapi begitu kanker stadium 1 dia turun dikit, stadium 2 sudah menyebar ke kelenjar getah bening, itu langsung dropnya mulai banyak. Stadium 3 lebih banyak lagi, berarti angka kematiannya juga lebih tinggi. Untuk stadium yang lebih tinggi, angka kematiannya lebih tinggi.
So how do we detect it? Number one, it's a two-pronged approach, one with your monthly breast self-examination that we'll be revising later, as well as what we recommend a screening mammogram. So when you examine yourself, much like the question during our quiz just now, usually about a week before, after your menses. When you examine right before your menses, your breast often swells, it's very sensitive, it's very uncomfortable. It's number one, painful for you to examine yourself. Number two, because it swells before your menses, it feels very lumpy, you're going to scare yourself for nothing.
Bagaimana cara mendeteksi secara dini? Satu, yang jelas tiap bulan periksa sendiri setelah menses, ya. 1 minggu setelah menses, pada saat 1 minggu itu kira-kira saja, tapi ibu-ibu bisa berasa sendiri pada saat menstruasi sudah datang, payudara akan melunak. Nah, kalau sudah melunak itu saat yang tepat untuk diperiksa, karena kalau sebelum menstruasi semua payudara akan bengkak, sakit, dan benjolannya berasa semua ada benjolan. Dan untuk yang menopause tidak ada menstruasi lagi, jadi ambil satu tanggal bisa tanggal lahir, tanggal pertama bulan, terserah. Tapi yang jelas setiap bulan mesti diperiksa, baru bisa menemukan kalau ada perubahan.
start by looking at yourself in the mirror. Usually I recommend to do this after you shower. You stand in front of a mirror and you look. You look for changes in your breast shape. However, do remember that your left breast and right breast really is exactly the same. So you want to look for any new changes. You want to see whether on the skin surface are there any changes, whether your nipple has suddenly been pulled in, or if it's more protruding, or if there's any blood. And to remember to raise your arms above your head at that point to check whether there's anything pulling the skin back.
Oke, gimana cara pemeriksaannya? Lihat badan sendiri di depan cermin. Bentuknya payudara kanan kiri kan beda, tapi yang jelas kalau tiap kali periksa sendiri kita tahu payudara ini kanan bentuknya begini, kiri bentuknya yang lain. Kulitnya apakah ada perubahan, putingnya apakah ada perubahan, dan tangan naik ke atas untuk melihat apakah ada penarikan di payudara.
The next step is usually with you lying down and you start feeling for changes. Using your middle 3 fingers, we usually recommend you go in a circular motion from the outside in, covering the entire area of the breast and going towards the nipple. Be very gentle at this step because if you're using a lot of stress and you're very skinny, you are feeling your hips, and then you wouldn't be able to feel much of the tissue. Gently squeeze your nipple at the end to check for any nipple discharge. The alternative is to check on the actual inside of your bra to see whether there's any blood stains.
Cara pemeriksaannya diputar dari daerah payudara itu dari tulang belikat ke ketiak ke bawah sini. Jadi pertama dari luar terus ke arah dalam dan cek di putingnya apakah ada cairan keluar, darah. Juga pada saat kita bisa juga terakhir raba dari daerah ketiak. Dan kalau payudara, kalau putingnya ada perdarahan atau apa, kadang-kadang di bagian dalam bra juga bisa terlihat.
The last step is to check both sides of your armpit to check whether you feel any little lumps. Oftentimes they will feel like a small rumble corn kernel or little chestnut that may keep growing bigger with time in your armpit.
Untuk di daerah ketiak, nanti di daerah ketiak kita periksa kadang-kadang ada benjolan yang makin lama makin keras, dari kecil ke keras, berarti ada sesuatu yang tidak benar.
So this is a little diagram I like to show everybody. It puts a little pictorial so you know what is abnormal and what is possibly normal. We start at the extreme left-hand side. If your skin has a dimple, it's pulling the skin in, that's abnormal. If you see a hard line protruding or a bump, that's also abnormal. And as we go down, if suddenly you see a lot of obvious skin vessels on your skin, that's another bad sign. And of course, if you see something pulling your breast apart, that's also worrying. Some of the things we will also look out for, if you look on the right-hand side, would be whether there are any skin sores, any bleeding from the skin, okay? Whether the skin has suddenly turned, not really, when we say orange pale skin, we do not mean the color. We actually mean the surface of the orange looks like there are a lot of poke marks. A lot like very bad acne. So if your skin starts looking like that, that's a cause of concern. And if it turns very red, it's very warm, it's very hot, you will also need to come to see us. In terms of the nipple, if there's crusting, there's blood coming out of it, there's a lot of liquid, it suddenly becomes very itchy, okay, do come to see us.
So perubahan-perubahan di payudara yang sebelah kiri adalah perubahan dari bentuk payudaranya, bisa ada kayak timbal itu
jerawat
pokoknya saya orang Jawa jadi
langsung pipis ada kak
pengerasan, ada benjolan yang lebih keras, terus berasa permukaannya ada mengeras, ada pembuluh darah yang lebih banyak untuk mulai keluar atau menebal kulitnya. Terus yang sebelah kanan atas adalah perubahan kulit. Yang dibilang perubahan kulit orange peel itu, jadi kelihatan kayak kalau kulit bengkak, terus pori-porinya agak lebih dalam daripada permukaan kulitnya. Kayak kulit sunkist kalau ibu-ibu lihat ingat kan kulitnya ini terus ada titik-titiknya. Titik-titiknya itu adalah pori-pori kulit yang lebih rendah daripada permukaan kulit. Terus untuk putingnya, apakah ada perubahan gatal, keluar kayak eksim, kayak macam gatal, terus kulitnya mengelupas, keras, itu semua adalah perubahan yang perlu datang ke dokter.
So how often to do mammogram? Another question on our quiz just now. If you are between 40 to 49, we recommend a yearly mammogram. And when you are beyond 50 years of age, every 2 years. Now, some of the patients will ask us if breast cancer is more common in elderly patients from 60 to 70, why only every 2 years? That's because as we get older, our breast tissue tends to fatten up so we can see a bit clearer. So when you are younger, your tissue is very dense, very tightly packed together. When we do the mammogram, it's very white, so we can't see as clearly, and that's why we do it more often. But as you get older, your breast tissue tends to fatten up. Okay, we can see the changes better, and that's why we can stretch it out.
Okay, so kapan frekuensi untuk mammogram? Umur 40 tahun sudah harus mammogram tiap tahun sekali, dan 50 tahun umur 50 tahun dan berikutnya cukup 2 tahun sekali. Padahal kan semakin tua resiko kanker semakin tinggi. Kenapa kok cuma 2 tahun sekali? Karena biasanya lewat 50 tahun sudah menopause, payudaranya tuh melunak. Jadi sudah tidak begitu kenyal. Karena itu perubahan di mammogram juga bisa terlihat dengan lebih jelas.
Okay, lastly at SGH, we do incorporate the use of artificial intelligence. This is the new keyword. We are using it to pick up cancers more frequently, improving our detection system. This is just one of the ways that technology is being incorporated here at SGH.
Di SGH kita pakai AI, bantuan dari komputer, karena kan untuk dokter radiologi, ahli X-ray membaca mammogram itu matanya mesti jernih. Nah, dengan bantuan komputer, robot AI membantu kita untuk menentukan mana yang perlu dibiopsi dan mana yang tidak perlu.
So what happens when the mammogram is abnormal? So if you go by a screening center, we will usually get recalled back. But if you go from another agency, we do recommend a referral to a breast specialist because oftentimes you may need extra tests to be done.
Kalau dari screening, yang pertama kan screening mammogram. Kalau dari screening mammogram ditemukan ada abnormalitas, perlu dilakukan ke lebih lanjut, entah X-ray, entah USG, entah yang lain, tapi perlu ketemu dengan dokter.
So another thing people always use is an ultrasound to do a mammogram. In addition, some of the patients will ask, why not just an ultrasound? The ultrasound is a lot more comfortable, not as painful as the mammogram. It is not a replacement, and why? So early breast cancer is detected as little white dots on your X-ray. They cannot be seen on any ultrasound, no matter how good the ultrasound machine is, if it's very early breast cancer. So if you just use an ultrasound to try to look for cancer, oftentimes by the time we pick it up on the ultrasound, it's actually a bit more advanced than it would have otherwise been if we had just used mammogram. However, if we do feel a lump and we do see a lump, we commonly will use an ultrasound to give us a little bit more information, because not all lumps are cancerous. The ultrasound will give us a bit more information about whether this is something less worrying or is this something we need to act on immediately.
Oke, USG sekarang kita bicara USG. USG tidak bisa dipakai untuk screening karena screening yang kita cari adalah kalsifikasi yang hanya bisa dilihat di mammogram. USG dipakai untuk menentukan bentuknya dan seberapa besar benjolannya. Jadi untuk membantu screening tapi bukan sebagai screening.
Some of the newer methods that you may hear when you go onto TikTok, Instagram, or of course Google is the use of a contrast enhanced mammogram where give you a little injection of contrast dye before we do a normal mammogram. This is often more useful in very dense breasts, very skinny patients where we may not be able to see very clearly. The reason why is because the dye picks up more active tissue or things that are more suspicious. However, the dye is not so good for your kidneys, so we don't recommend doing it every year.
Oke, so dari mamogram, screening mamogram kadang-kadang sulit dilihat dan karena itu kita perlu melakukan special mamogram yang pakai kontras. Dalam arti kita injeksi obat di tubuh dan dari payudara nanti bisa terlihat daerah-daerah mana yang lebih aktif. Juga MRI.
The last thing is that of an MRI, which is very uncomfortable. You lie flat on your face for 30 minutes. For them, when it's very noisy, you wear a pair of earphones. Some people who are very worried about breast cancer, very high risk, such as Angelina Jolie, BRCA patients, we will need to do a yearly MRI. But often, we don't use MRI as a screening modality because it picks up too many otherwise normal findings, and some patients end up going follow-up unnecessary biopsy.
MRI adalah pakai radiofrequency, magnetic radiofrequency yang kayak sama dengan MRI yang lain, tapi untuk MRI payudara kita mesti ngadep ke bawah, payudaranya digantung di
digantung di mana?
Itu MRI adalah X-ray yang paling sensitif untuk payudara karena filmnya ribuan. Tapi karena terlalu sensitif kadang-kadang jadi memberi masalah-masalah yang tidak perlu.
So some of the myths of breast cancer that I usually like to cover. Number one, breast cancer is painful. It is rarely painful. There are patients that come to see us in clinic. The whole breast is bleeding, it's weepy. They come because it's very smelly. They don't come because it is painful. Breast cancer is rarely painful. So if you have a painless lung, that's actually more concerning than a painful lung to a breast cancer surgeon. The next thing is breast cancer is more common in women with bigger breasts. My own students have asked me this question. There have been studies that have studied this. This is not true. Just because you have a bigger surface area, you have more breast tissue, does not increase your risk of breast cancer. Breast cancer only affects middle-aged or older women. That is no longer true. We are picking up breast cancers earlier and earlier. We suspect stress, environmental factors are possible contributors. I think one of the youngest patients we saw this year was only in her 20s. So yes, if you have a lung, you really need to seek help. All lungs are cancerous, that's not true, especially in young women. A lot of lungs are actually non-cancerous. They are often soft and they tend to move around. They can usually be left alone if they are not rapidly growing, they are not bleeding, causing you any problem. But this often requires sometimes a biopsy or some monitoring over a period of time for us to be satisfied that it's not something worrying. Not all breast cancers are the same. Breast cancers have multiple types, multiple subtypes, multiple hormone markers. The way we treat the cancer also depends on your hormone markers, the size, the involvement of the armpit and things like that. Therefore, when you come, you say, my neighbor, my auntie had this operation, had this treatment. It may not apply to you because everybody is different. We tailor a specific treatment program just for you if you have cancer. Lastly, men do not get breast cancer. Not true. Okay, 1% of all breast cancer patients are actually male.
Ini kepercayaan soal kanker payudara bahwa kanker itu berarti harus sakit. Kalau tidak sakit tidak kanker itu salahnya. Jadi justru kalau ada kanker payudara sakit itu kalau sudah parah sekali, yang sudah besar, yang sudah bau, porokan, itu baru sakit. Sebenarnya dari kecil pun tidak sakit kanker payudara. Dan kanker payudara kalau dibilang hanya terjadi pada orang-orang yang mempunyai payudara besar, itu juga salah. Karena payudara kecil, payudara besar tidak ada bedanya. Antara besar kecil size 30 sampai size 40 sama aja. Kanker payudara hanya terjadi pada umur-umur tua, tidak juga. Umur sekarang semakin lama semakin banyak anak-anak muda di bawah 40 tahun yang kena kanker payudara. Itu yang justru kita lebih khawatir lagi karena mamogram baru mulai umur 40 tahun ke atas. Jadi yang muda-muda dia pikir oh tidak ada apa-apa, nggak diperiksa biasanya, terus jadi terdeteksinya agak terlambat. Terus kalau dibilang semua benjolan adalah kanker juga tidak benar. Kebanyakan benjolan bukan kanker. Yang kanker itu, tapi gimana kita tahu itu kanker atau tidak? Kita perlu biopsi, perlu monitor. Dan apakah kanker payudara semua sama? Tidak. Ada masing-masing jenis, banyak sekali jenisnya, tergantung karakteristik kanker payudara itu. Jadi treatmentnya itu tidak bisa disamakan dari A sampai Z, kanan sampai kiri semua sama, tidak. Dan yang terakhir, bahwa laki-laki pun bisa terjadi kena kanker payudara.
Just some information about breast cancer. The most important one is the QR code on the left to scan, give you a bit more information about breast self-examination and breast screening.
So ini QR code yang bisa memberikan info tentang cara pemeriksaan payudara sendiri, screening kanker payudara, dan screening mamogram yang cuman karena kita kalau orang Indonesia kayaknya nggak bisa dapetin screening dari pemerintah Singapura. Oke.
Thank you, Dr. Tan.